this Pi article that we're going into. It sent me down a Pi rabbit hole. I was playing around with their delivery site, and I was like listening to the digits of Pi. And then I did the one that does like the graphical representation, and it would start to crash my browser.
Welcome to GCP Life, episode number 17, a podcast where we discuss Google Cloud and tech. GCP Life is sponsored by Kasna, and I'm your host, Stephen Bancroft. And on today's show, we look at Google AI, we calculate pi to a lot, we take a look at some private app repos, some new Google features, and we have another list. Awesome. But before we get to any of that, I want to introduce the Migration King co-host that's with me here today. It's Dave Wall. How are you going, Dave?
Lucky me. You're the king of the migrations.
The king of the migrations, or the GCVE nice. Migrations, anyway.
Yeah.
How many
I don't know. Is that better than being the Duke of Decommissions? Or
well, it could be. How many?
The Colonel of Clusters.
I wouldn't want to be the Colonel of Clusters.
Yeah, no, me either.
Oh, boy, I need to check out the dad jokes. See dad jokes. Oh, yeah.
But, yes, I am migrating along. I got kicked off another 10 terabytes worth of data transfers a little bit before this call. So
yeah, excellent. All right, well, we're going to talk a little bit about GCVE towards the end of the show.
Yep.
Lots happening in that space, but I've ordered some parts.
Because you got your graphics card a while back, but I know you've been sweating that CPU for quite some time.
I got the graphics card a while back. Now I'm going to build a new rig, and in the past I've just gone boom straight into the top, turn it up to 11, gone straight into the top. But right now, it's expensive. Can't do that.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just going for minimal viable product, and I've ended up with a Ryzen 7 5700G. That's 8 core, 16 threads, boosts up to 4.6 gig. It has the integrated Radeon graphics. Now I'm not quite sure how that works. Does it appear as a graphics card?
No. So it just means that it's like your Intel CPUs where they have the onboard graphics.
Right.
Yeah, they were never great. It wasn't for playing like a lot of games or anything, but it's so you didn't have to have a discrete graphics card in there. So, but most AMD CPUs do not have any graphics components, so you need to have a graphics card in them. So, on your motherboard, they'll often have like the HDMI port or a D-sub or something on the back.
Yeah.
If you don't have a G CPU or an APU is what AMD calls them, those don't do anything.
That port doesn't do anything. Okay, this is why I'm confused. This is my first AMD system. I've always used Intel, so I right.
Yeah.
Never understood that.
Yeah. And as a pro tip, when you actually put your rig together, don't attach like your monitors to those ports for like, the ones you want to game on, because otherwise they'll be coming off the APU instead of your graphics card.
No.
It doesn't pass
understood.
Through.
That's the same with Intel. My current motherboard has an onboard chip video as well, so I'm well familiar with that. But check this out.
Yep. Oh, jeez. That's a two-man lift right there.
That's a two-man lift. I'm holding a box which is probably, 10 centimetres cubed in my hand, maybe more, maybe 12 centimetres, 12, 13 centimetres cubed. And it is a CPU cooler.
It is the size of, you can build a whole PC into that box.
You could build them. It's the Master Air MA624 Stealth. Now, I'm glad it's got the word stealth at the end, because they could probably launch a stealth fighter with that.
I would want to see it coming if it was flying at me, that's for sure.
That's right. Now, it's one of these, it's a dual tower design, and it's got two fans, and put one fan in the middle and then one fan on the side, on the back of it, and shoot the air out the back of the case. So that should keep things nice and cool, I hope.
It should do. I hope so.
But right now, I'm just waiting for the motherboard. It's the B550 chipset. It's actually a mini ITX.
Oh, nice.
I didn't need a deluxe. The deluxe ones come with all the Wi-Fi and all the bells and whistles. Nah, I just want to put a video card in it, and that's it.
Are you building it into a mini ITX case? Or
no. I'll just repurpose my current case.
So much room for activities around it.
Well, there is. Well, it's under the desk. It's not a problem. But yes, inside, I do have a spinning Rust disk that I want to put in there anyway. So I got some M.2 drives as well. I'll throw them in and have a spinning Rust there just as a scratch disk.
Sure.
Projects and stuff. Yeah. So that's me. That's what I've been up to. What have you been up to? Anything?
Besides work, I got away over the weekend. We went down to Phillip Island. It was very nice down there, even though it was cold, but it wasn't too windy and there was no tourists. I mean, like besides us.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah. Nice to just get away and spend some time down near the seaside.
Excellent. Well, I thought we'd kick things off today with a story that's been just about everywhere.
It's a big one. Big questions.
Every media outlet has picked this up. And I'll put a link in the show notes to the Daily Mail story on it. But a Google engineer by the name of Blake Lemon, who was stood down from Google. I'll just read the title here. Google engineer warns the firm's AI is sentient. Suspended employee claims computer program acts like 7 or 8-year-old and reveals it told him shutting it off would be exactly like death for me. It would scare me a lot.
Yeah, this is... I don't even know where to come with this.
So here we have... Okay, so the story breaks down like this. We have this AI researcher. He's written... he's been working on this for a few years, quite a long time, actually, I think.
I think I read he'd been there for like 7 years.
7 years or something, yeah. And he then was doing some tests against this AI, had a conversation with the AI, and it led him to believe or perceive, which is the key word, right? Following hours of conversations with the AI, Lemon came away with the perception that Lambda, which is the name of the AI, was sentient. Now, this is the thing, right? There's a difference between perceived sentience and actually being sentient.
True.
Right?
But where's the line?
Where's the line?
Maybe I only perceive you to be sentient.
Well, look, granted we don't have a full conversation here, but like a whole bunch of conversations, I would say to be truly sentient, you would have to have unique thought, right? You'd have to have unique ideas, right? That'd have to be an internal monologue, an internal loop of consciousness that continues to loop and question and generate problems and solutions and new ideas. Right. So that for me would be sentient. Now, there's a thing called a Turing test. Turing test, right? Now that's not particularly good at determining sentience. But
because would this have passed the Turing test? Because that's just, can I have a conversation with something like in a remote room and am I convinced that it's sentient?
Am I convinced that it's a non-machine?
Yes.
I think it would. Because the AI, I'll take a quote here, the AI makes use of an already known information about a particular subject in order to enrich the conversation in a natural way. The language processing is also capable of understanding hidden meanings or even ambiguity in responses by humans. Right? So we all know what it's doing, right? It's ingesting all the things, and it's then using all the things in a response to the question or to carry on the conversation. So, for instance, one of the things here it says, it talks about the engineer also debated with Lambda about the third law of robotics, devised by science fiction writer Asimov, which are designed to prevent robots from harming humans. Now, this AI would have access to that text. So
true, yeah, and all of the books, because I think
and
they're
all of
probably
the
all
books.
public domain now. And
yeah, that's right. So it would clearly, I'm not going to use the word understand because it doesn't understand it, but it would have access to all those texts in the same way that someone had read all the Asimov texts. And then it's just a neural network that can, as I said before, can enrich the conversation and add, natural sounding language around it. Right? That's what it's programmed to do. That's what it's designed to do. I don't think that makes it sentient.
right, and I mean, there was a question in there where the one where he asked about the third law of robotics, and he had mentioned about how it felt like it was, the basis, I think, of making mechanical slaves, and then it asked him back, like, are butlers slaves? I mean, that kind of seems like it's probably read someone's comments, like, it's read a Reddit thread or it's read Twitter or
someone's essay on the subject, right? It's got access to it. And I think, like, do you think a butler is a slave? That sounds to me like some text that's come out of something that like you say, a Reddit comment or an essay or something.
Or, an essay prompt for an English exam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's where it's got that particular question from. Now, the way it's designed, as we said, it can enrich and embellish it a little bit, so it just makes it sound a little bit wordier and switches some of the words around because that's what it does. But is it unique? Well, when I see it solve a unique problem, then I might start to think it's sentient. But until then, I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I also sit on the, like, I don't think we will have created a sentient AI yet.
No, the computing power is not anywhere near what we need to do that at the moment. We need a lot more computing power. If we were anywhere in the ballpark, then it'd be a solid maybe. But I don't think right at this point we are.
I don't know if we're approaching the singularity yet.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is confronting when a computer replies with something like, because I'm an artificial intelligence and I'm afraid of being switched off.
Yeah.
So I can
when you get back that would cause you to question.
That would cause you to question.
Yeah.
But this guy, he's working in this field. He knows his stuff. He's been working on it for years. If he was going to out this, wouldn't you want to make sure you had all your ducks in a row first? Rather than just sort of flippantly going, oh, this is an AI, blah, 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 and then people look into it and go, no, calm down. It's not sentient at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something's just not adding up. This guy could be one of the smartest engineers in the world, but he's been suckered. He's been suckered by his own code.
And there's nothing in there about when we're going to be able to play with it in GCP anytime soon.
Not unless you want to pay the storage costs.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on.
Speaking of storage costs.
They've calculated pi to 100 trillion digits.
Oh, yeah?
Now, it's pretty easy. No worries there. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, no worries. But reading the blog, this is no mean feat.
It was not. This was a genuine engineering problem that they had.
Absolutely. You break it down here. The previous record was 31.4 trillion digits, consisting up to 62.8 trillion decimal places. Today, we're announcing yet another record, 100 trillion digits of pi.
And what is the 100th trillionth digit?
Well, they get into that.
They do.
Yeah, that's right. So
don't want to spoil it.
Let's just talk about the numbers here for a minute, the architectural overview. So they had storage, right? So 100 trillion digits isn't going to fit into like 16 gig of RAM, right? So they had to store all the numbers somewhere. For storage, we estimated the size of the temporary storage required for calculating to around 554 terabytes. The maximum persistent disk capacity you can attach to a single VM is 257 terabytes, which is often enough for traditional single node apps, but not in this case. We designed a cluster of computational nodes and 32 storage nodes for a total of 64 iSCSI blocks. So the way this breaks down is they have one computational node and it has connections and farms it out to the storage nodes. And they needed a certain size of the main compute node is N2 high mem 128 with Debian 11 on it, 128 vCPUs and 864 gigabyte of RAM. And that gives them 100 gigabit egress bandwidth support.
Which was key. They needed that bandwidth to be able to do it.
That's right. Last time they did this, they didn't have that bandwidth. And the reason they needed that bandwidth is because they had to push the numbers out to the storage nodes.
Yeah, it's too much to be able to store in memory. They had to do it on a storage layer.
That's right. So the storage nodes ended up being N2 high CPU 16 machines configured with about 10,000 gigabyte zonal balanced persistence disk. And then that gives them 32 gigabits bandwidth. So they could, farm the numbers out to the storage. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, they used Terraform to set up and manage the entire cluster.
Good for them.
Good for them, because how else would you do it, right? Of course. And the scripts, it's all available on GitHub. If you want to go and spin up this environment yourself, it's right there on GitHub.
Oh, and I'm sure they would love for you to do it, and you can bear the costs.
We'll just get some credits.
So we want to do 200.
We want to do two. Awesome. And then the 100 gig, they break it down in the article talking about the 100 gig network and how it was critical. We also changed the network driver from virtual IO, and I didn't realize this, to the new Google Virtual NIC, the GVNIC. It's a new device driver that tightly integrates with Google's Andromeda virtual network stack and helps achieve higher throughput and lower latency. And is also a requirement for 100 gigabit egress bandwidth.
Very nice.
Yeah, one to look out for next time you're building a box and you need a bit
Definitely,
of throughput. So they break down the storage, how all the storage works and how many IOPS they needed. I won't bore you with all those numbers right now, but to test this, all the functioning and benchmarks got us to 100 trillion digits of pi. We verified the final numbers with another algorithm, the Bailey-Baldwin-Plouffe formula. And what that does is it just calculates the last 100 digits. And then they know that the last 100 digits match, and bingo, you're good. This verification was the scariest moment of the entire process because there is no sure way of knowing whether or not the calculation was successful until it finished. 5 months after it began. 5 months.
It's a long time, especially for, the amount of compute that they had to throw it at, and it still took that long.
Yeah, that's right.
I think from what I read in there is like they didn't have a node failure in that time either.
No, the program ran for more than 5 months without node failures and handled every single bit of the 82 petabytes of disk I/O correctly.
That's a testament in and of itself, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You couldn't get one single bit wrong in amongst all of that. They just corrupt the result. So there you go. Calculating pi to 100 trillion digits, not an easy thing to achieve.
No, and there's some links on this article, and maybe we can add it into the show as well. Across, they've got this demo site where you can query their API, so you can get the digits that you would like from there. They've got a couple of other little fun tools where it'll stream all the digits through like a little piano player, and it's like each one of the 8 things it relates to a note and it plays, and that's pretty fun. And then there's one that does a graphical demonstration of the transitions between all the different numbers, 3, 1, 4, etc., and it draws it all out. I was running on my Mac here, and it didn't crash, but it was getting close to it and really started to hang. So I don't know what was going on there, but
yeah, check it out. That demo site's a lot of fun. You might even want to go and have a muck around with the code, which is all available in GitHub. Okay, moving on, we'll take a look at this package management now. Package management available. Private package repo is now available for Debian and Ubuntu.
This is a really cool thing.
Yeah. Most customers are operating in a restrictive environment with limited egress connectivity to the internet. This results in customers investing in third-party tools such as JFrog, Artifactory, Nexus, etc. to store operating system packages and libraries. There is a pressing need to download dependencies without gaining the internet and also avoid investing in third-party tools if there is budgetary or time constraints.
Yeah, I remember working somewhere where, what did we have to use? I want to say it was called Foreman, which was for Yum package management for rel boxes, because we had to build like a proxy repository. Because not every box, we didn't want everything going out and accessing the internet directly. Right,
yep. So yeah, you can get access to this by just enabling Google Private Networking on your VPC, and then private Google Access rather. And adding some DNS records and a route if you need it, and bingo, you can get access to packages.cloud.google.com. And on there, you will find repos for Debian 9, 10, 11, Ubuntu 16.04, and Ubuntu 18.04. Yeah, so I wonder if this is a globally available repo, and if it can be used, well, you can access it. So I could just point any of my personal Debian boxes at it.
Yeah, you could.
And, have a high-speed repo.
I mean, definitely everything that you've got in GCP, I don't know if you would gain any benefit from like any other on-prem ones. I'm not sure, I don't think the stuff that's in this repository, it's not like the assured open source one where they're validating packages. I think this is really just a mirror.
Yeah, that might be the next step, right? Integrating it with something like assured open source. But yeah, good one to know. And if you want to make things that a little bit more secure, then configure that up.
Yeah, nice. I mean, it's always great to be able to leverage what's there. Migrating to the cloud, great. I can get rid of my private repository because I can use what's already there in GCP. So it's like the name of the game, right? You want to move on to managed services wherever you can.
That's right, yeah. Save that toil, save, doing things that you don't have to do, allow you to focus on, your own product.
Yeah.
Speaking of migrating to the cloud, there's been a few VMware stories around, and VMware wins the Google Cloud Partner Award for infrastructure modernization.
Hooray.
Look, this is kind of a gimme, really. I mean, I kind of see it as a sales pitch in a way, right? Just to get the Google and VMware brand, out there together and get people talking about it. VMware has officially received it says 2021 in this article, but I believe it means to be 2022, Google Cloud Technology Partner of the Year Award for infrastructure modernization. Google Cloud VMware Engine is designed to enable customers to modernize infrastructure, operations, and applications with lower costs and risks. Well, there are some risks. We've discovered we're knee-deep in a VMware GCVE migration at the moment, as you may have heard. And in fact, we probably will do a GCVE deep dive in the coming weeks.
Definitely, yeah.
But there are risks. There are risks with any migration. Lower risks, certainly. There's in the next article, we'll talk about a tool called HCX. Great in some instances, not so great in other instances. We've discovered this ourselves recently. But overall, with Google Cloud VMware Engine combined with VMware Cloud Universal, it is estimated that enterprises can achieve average total cost of savings of 38% over 3 years compared to on-prem environments. Average yearly cost savings of more than $2 million. Average labour cost savings of $115,000 using existing VMware and Google Cloud tools. And 100 gigabit dedicated east-west networking and high availability with 99.99% uptime service SLA for a cluster. That's some big numbers.
It really is. It's a strong solution. It's a strong solution if you're coming from an on-prem world. We've been working the ins and outs of it, and there's going to be a lot more of it in the future for us.
Yeah, we're starting to see quite a few people making a big push for it.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a scramble actually, given that trying to get the hardware. I think that's where the squeeze is going to be.
Yep.
Trying to get the servers. What are they running on? Dell 670?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but no, they're not 700s. I thought they were at 600s. Pretty sure they're 1RUs.
R640s. Is that them?
Could be. Have to look into it.
Yeah, I have to look into it. But anyway, it's a 1RU Dell, something like an R640 that they're running on.
But yeah, everyone's competing, right? Yeah. So the hyperscalers are going to get first dibs, and then you're on to you're trying to fill out your own data center. It's
your own data center. We don't do that anymore.
No,
do we?
I'm just saying, like, if you were still on the line of like, oh, okay, I'll tech refresh my tin. Well, that's what you're competing with now, and there's still logistical issues everywhere.
Yeah. They've also released a white paper. I'll link this in the show notes. GCVE allows users to deploy and manage VMware environment with an enterprise cloud solution. We've put together a new white paper. Now, I think that the idea behind this is to get people across the line, right? People that don't understand it.
Yeah, I was really going into the kind of performance, the performance you get from a data transfer perspective was when I dug through the white paper. And that's certainly something that we found as part of our own migrations. So just because you've got a 10 gig link, which is great, obviously that's a really nice way to run the environment. It's nice to be able to do migrations over a link that size, but you're not going to get 10 gig a second worth of transfer. You can push it up there, but on any individual network extension, you can kind of peak out at about 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's using this HCX.
Yeah.
A hybrid cloud extension known as HCX, yeah.
Of course, the really nice thing is that, like, while you might not get, like, the whole link, you're doing that data transfer while your workloads are online. So it's like, as long as you're planning ahead, it doesn't really matter how much you've got to push over the link. You just kick it off and factor in the time it'll take for that initial seed.
That's it. To take a quote here, currently many organizations are navigating their way through their current IT challenges and cloud solutions. Google Cloud VMware Engine provides you the easy on-ramp to migrate your workloads into the cloud. You don't have to move everything to the cloud at once, though, because GCVE provides the option to scale your IT infrastructure from on-prem to the cloud at your discretion by leveraging HCX. Look, it's a neat solution. It certainly makes the actual moving of the boxes really easy.
Oh, yeah.
But the challenges come with disconnecting it from its original place, the unextending.
Yeah, you need to be done with it on-prem.
You really need to be done with it. In coming weeks you'll hear some detail on us around some of the challenges that you could face with this, but this white paper is an interesting read in the meantime.
For sure. I think the really nice thing I like with it, though, is you've got kind of an overhead of building out your cluster initially. Like the bare minimum, you get like minimum 3 nodes, right, to stand up an actual viable cluster. But after that, you just can let it scale, and you can set your auto scaling. So you might have worked out, yep, I've got 3 nodes minimum. Maybe to migrate everything from on-prem, I'm probably going to need like 15 nodes. But you don't have to pay for 15 right away. Right, you can just set your auto scaling policies in there, set your kind of maximum, and then as you actually move into the cloud, then you start paying for it.
Yeah, and you can do the opposite with your on-prem. You can start decommissioning your on-prem, start shutting down any contracts or moving away from licensing there. and just take the journey at your own pace.
Yeah. Plus, the nodes themselves are really big, right? So depending on how you're weighting of whether you're CPU heavy or you're memory heavy or you're storage heavy, you might find you'll be able to get away with less nodes, fit more workloads into that space. Which if you're, for example, if you're paying for like SQL licensing and you go, actually, well, maybe I can improve my density, and instead of having 5 SQL Enterprise licenses, maybe I can get down to 4 and help defray some of the costs.
Or just move it to Cloud SQL.
Well, yes, but you got to get steps at a time, right?
Baby steps, yeah, baby steps. Yeah, okay. I thought we'd take a look at one new feature that came across my desk, and this email literally just landed in my email, but it's about this new feature called advisory notifications. I thought this was cool. This is in pre-GA at the moment. Advisory notifications will provide well-targeted, timely and compliant communications about critical security and privacy events in Google Cloud Console. So it gives you a little pop-up in there, and it integrates with essential contacts. So it'll email out to the essential contacts saying, "Hey, your project does blah, or you need to be aware of CVE blah. Get onto it."
Yeah, that's really good.
That's cool. Yeah. If the essential contacts aren't configured, it'll use the administrator, organize admin, project owner, and billing account admin. And they can get the spam as the security spam as well.
Actually, well, this is off topic, but it is on the advisory side of things.
Yeah.
I know your partner had migrated over to Google Workspace.
That's right.
And my partner's company has also recently done that. I noticed that today, which I guess would be a month post the migration, I just got an email about like data leakage, like a heads up. It was like, here's how many files you've got stored in Google Drive, and here's how many were like sensitive, and here's how many of those we think were shared outside, which was 0. But I was like, this is really cool.
That's cool. I didn't move my wife's business data into there at the moment. It's just email at the moment.
Right. So maybe you're not using Drive yet.
So I'm not seeing that. I use C-File, which is like a homebrew, Dropbox.
Gotcha. Yep.
And she's in there. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, definitely got it from the stuff that was in Drive. So I was like, pleasantly surprised. I now feel like I want to leak share a file out to my personal one and see if it comes up in next month's report.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's nice that they're doing that. Because, open buckets and open files on the internet. Who does that? That's never happened before.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so I thought we'd finish off the show with a list. A list. We love a good list.
A list. You hate lists. Never talk about lists.
Never talk about lists. This is actually following on from the conversation we had last week, talking about Thomas Kurian. This article I'll link in the show notes. They quote a lot of stuff out of those last couple of articles we were talking about, and they list the 10 hottest new Google Cloud products, features, and tools launched in 2022 that you need to know about. They do not mention GCVE on this list, although that may have been launched in the US the year before. So this is specifically 2022.
Yeah, it's still growing that.
And still growing, yeah.
Yep. It's a really big article, actually.
It is a big article. We'll just summarize a few things. They do list Google Kubernetes Engine.
No, actually click into that. It's Google Kubernetes Engine Cost Estimator.
Cost Estimator, yes, that's correct.
It threw me off too. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure the GKE didn't come out like in the last couple of months. No, it is the Cost Estimator, correct. The Cost Estimator allows customers to see what it will cost to run a particular GKE cluster. I have to admit, I didn't realize that this was a problem. But now it's no longer a problem. We can accurately estimate the costs, which is nice.
The network analyzer. So the network analyzer, Google Cloud said its network group developed a solution to prevent manual and time-intensive reactive status quo with the launch of Network Analyzer. Network Analyzer empowers businesses by auto-detecting failures caused by the underlying network and suggests best practices to improve the availability, performance, and security of services. Nice. I must admit I haven't played with this yet, but
That's good.
it'll be on my to-do list. The Vertex AI tablature workflow. I believe we mentioned this a few episodes ago. The Vertex AI tablature workflow tool includes a glass box and managed auto ML pipeline that lets users see and interpret each step in the AI model building and deployment process. Nice. They've got a nice little graph of it here.
And now I just need Lambda to explain it to me.
But then you'll have it explaining itself, and it might become sentient because of that.
Dun, dun, dun. It'll disprove my own sentience.
The manufacturing data engine, the new manufacturing data engine is an end-to-end solution that processes, contextualizes, and stores factory data on Google Cloud's market-leading data platform.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time working in manufacturing in the pharmaceutical space, so I know there was always a big issue with like storing, machine data and batch records.
Yeah. Well, there you go. This solves that problem for you. Integrates with everything like Dataflow, PubSub, BigQuery, Cloud Storage, Looker, etc., etc. You have your machine data stored. Cloud HPC Toolkit. This is the high-performance computing toolkit. The new open source tool enables users to easily create repeatable, turnkey, high-performance computing clusters based on proven best practices. Maybe they should use this when they're calculating pi.
Well, I mean, maybe now they'll make that into a turnkey solution. They've pocked it out.
Yeah, it could have been the POC. Maybe they're going for 200 trillion. Cloudfleet API or routing API. The Google Cloud recently launched its Cloudfleet routing API, which focuses on the route planning phase of delivery and allows operators to perform advanced fleet-wide optimization. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I've got like 10 packages that need to go to these locations. This is the
traveling salesman's problem, right? So this is what it solves. You know what they need to, anyone from Google listening, you know what they need to include in Google Maps? They need to include an option that says left turn only. So I want to get to my destination and I only want to, in Australia, it would be I only want to take left turns.
You're afraid of the right-hand turn?
Well, no, think about it. FedEx did this in the US, except it was right turns, and they saved something like $100 million a year in fuel. Because
really?
You can usually just go in Australia left straight away. You don't have to wait for the traffic to go in the other direction. And quite often it'll be quicker.
Right. I think, now I could be wrong here, but I thought in the US and a lot of states you can make a right-hand turn on a red if it's clear. I think.
Sure.
I could be completely wrong on this, but I thought there was something where you can kind of treat a red light like a stop sign if you're making.
Oh, sure.
Turn.
I mean, there are intersections in Australia where you can do that as well. It says left turn or right turn on red permitted after stopping or something like that. Right. Oh, you're talking about like a blanket rule that allows that to be the case.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, you still may have to wait for traffic anyway. Yeah. Right? I mean, you really want to wait for the traffic, right? Whereas if you're going left, usually in Australia, you can just slot straight in with the traffic. You rarely have to wait. You're only really crossing into one lane. That would be a very interesting routing option to have.
Well, there you go. There's your $1 trillion startup idea, mate. You go make a custom version hanging off this.
Yeah, well, why not?
Yeah.
Google Workspace SAP integrations. SAP integrations. Google Cloud created new integrations between its workspace solutions and SAP Cloud ERP. SAP Cloud to allow customers to connect core SAP software with collaborative capabilities of Google Cloud and Docs and Sheets. Nice. Yeah.
That one's really nice. Yeah.
I could see a lot of automation coming out of that. Imagine all the menial tasks that reporting and things that can just be done, automated. Oh, boy, that's great. Another report that no one will ever look at. Generated automatically, though.
But it's critical that if it's not generated, we hell to pay.
Cloud Distributed Cloud Virtual. Google Cloud launched its Cloud Distributed Cloud GDC portfolio of hardware, software, and services that brings its cloud infrastructure to the edge and into customer data centers. So we talked about edge cloud. We've had a few articles that talked about it. Yeah,
we did. Yeah, it's like deploying like an on-prem stack.
Yeah, that does all the Google Cloud features, all the Google goodness. You've got low bandwidth connection or intermittent connection, but you still want to do all your edge processing.
Oh, I wonder if you're using that. It's not something I've played with before, but I wonder if you just treat it like a region. So instead of like, Australia Southeast 1, you're like Banky's house 2.
And then we can have multi-regional. We can have Dave's house and Banky's house, right? And we can
stand up some GCVE nodes.
It'll cost you.
Yeah, I might have to have a discussion with the wife.
Get a knock on the door from Dell. I got your nodes here to install.
Oops.
All right, 2 more to go. Confidential GKE nodes. So this would be off the back of confidential computing. Google this year launched the general availability of confidential GKE nodes, which leverages hardware to make sure data is encrypted in memory, because you don't want anyone snooping or spying on that in-memory data. Yeah. That's a cool one to know about. And finally, Manufacturing Connect. So they're really going after the manufacturing with this list, aren't they? Google Cloud's new Manufacturing Connect is a factory-led platform co-developed with Litmus Automation that quickly connects to and streams data from nearly any manufacturing asset and industrial system to Google Cloud. And then you can store it in your manufacturing data engine.
Yeah. Extensive library. Can work with over 250 machine protocols.
And if the machine didn't have it, I guess they could develop a protocol for it to connect to their API.
So you can feed out from like SCADA systems and stuff in. Stream your data from your PLCs.
That's right, from your PLCs, from your reactor data. All right, guys. Well, look, that's about it for today. Unless you got anything else, Dave.
I do not. I'm okay. I do want to say that I did do an upgrade to my recording room. I came up and I preheated it beforehand.
Oh, you've got the heater going. That's good to see.
I turned it off for the noise, but it's much more pleasant up here this week.
So that's about it. Go write us a review on iTunes. It really helps the show out. And don't forget to check out Kasna Between Two Clouds YouTube channel. You can contact the show, gcplife@kasna.com.au. We also have the Twitter, GCP Life, and the website. If you Google GCP Life, you will find that. Don't forget today's sponsor is Kasna. At Kasna, we make your Google Cloud solutions possible. And that's it for 2 weeks. The next time you hear me, I will be in Winton, which is in central Queensland, out in the middle of the bush. And I'm hoping I can get some data, some Wi-Fi data out there, and we can do a show.
Yeah, you didn't get your Starlink in place in time, right?
I haven't got my Starlink, no, but I've got my high gain and 5G antenna, so that should be good.
Yeah, failing that, we just smoke signal to each other.
That's it. All right, guys, we'll catch you in 2 weeks. Bye.
All right, bye.
Welcome to GCP Life, episode number 17.
Oh, you're doing so well.
I know.
Usually you stuff up on the welcome.
Oh, I think that goes into the sound bites.